Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Annie Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I interview top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Kristie Clayton. Hello, Kristie.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm very excited about our conversation because, Kristie, you and I got connected years ago, and I've seen you transform and change and create this amazing business and who you are right now today throughout the years. I mean, when we first met, you were still working for somebody else and you had this vision and this dream and you started it and then you evolved it and now it's so successful. So you're the founder and visionary of Female Integrator Mastermind. The abbreviation is FIM. An integrator is a term that is being used within the Entrepreneurial Organization System, EOS, for, you have the visionary, you have the integrator. The integrator is that person who actually works in the business, like the chief operating officer, if you would, right? That integrates all the operations and put it into effect. And you are basically all about empowering women integrators, and you have a mastermind for them. And you also have ExcelHER8 Leaders, and you're passionate about developing women leaders. And you work on it. You had a vision, you had a dream, and you created it. That reminds me actually about another episode that I did with ListHow, and I'm going to put a note in the show notes, in the notes for this show. I'm going to put the link to our podcast that we did together, because she also had this dream about empowering women and bringing women together and a big networking group. And now she has several networking groups in Oregon and in Idaho. And it's just like amazing to see that evolution and basically taking a dream and making it true, right? I mean, that is so strong. So, tell us more about yourself, about FIM and your journey, and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. So I think, to kind of share just a little bit about me and my journey is it really started, if you look back at my working history, I've always kind of sat in the integrator role. Prior to my working at the wealth management firm that you mentioned, I didn't have the Entrepreneurial Operating System, or EOS, to help me run the business. And therefore, there was just a lot of stepping on each other's toes and, kind of scrambling to make things happen. We did our absolute best, but there were things that we could have definitely done different. And so EOS really kind of changed my life. It really gave me an identity. I understood who I was as a person. I really, really love and enjoy making a vision happen, bringing it to life, and working with a team to really just execute on that vision. I describe an integrator as a person who is kind of the filter for the vision. We can see the vision and we can go the big places that the visionary wants to go. And then our role is to filter it down and make it executable for the team. And that was my passion. And I really, really loved what I was doing at the wealth management firm. We had a lot of success in a lot of things that we were doing. And one of the things that I recognized very early on in my career at the wealth management firm is that I really wanted to be connected to my peers. My visionary, he had lots of opportunities to be able to connect with his peers, and I saw the growth and development he was making as a leader, and I wanted that for myself as well. There's all kinds of things for visionaries. There's Vistage and EO and YPO, WPO, and strategic coach, and all of these things that were available. But when I started FIM, there was nothing for the integrator. And so I had had an amazing opportunity to go to Mark Winter's very first Integrator Mastery Forum and to the first EOS community, the EOS conference. And when I came back from both of those events, like it just reinvigorated me. Like I needed to be connected to my peers more frequently. And so I reached out to several of the women I had met at both events. And I said, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Let's just have a WhatsApp chat where we're helping one another. We can text in and ask questions. We can share our successes and celebrations with one another. Because as an integrator, nobody celebrates what we celebrate. They don't get why we're celebrating some of these things. And so we can do that with one another. We can encourage each other, support each other, and just truly help us grow and get better. To make a long story short, that original group of women of 5 has now grown to about 165 members. We still have a chat space, but it's outgrown WhatsApp, and we actually have an app that we have built out that's exclusive to our membership. We have workshops and forums, and we do an annual summit. So we've really built out our offerings to be able to meet integrators where they are. And we encourage them to get involved where they want to get involved. We meet them where they are. From there, just kind of finishing my story is last year, I did decide that I was truly passionate about this particular role and developing women leaders. So I sold my partnership at the firm and went out on my own. And so I'm leaning into FEM. Addie, you will be really surprised to know that I actually have an integrator myself now, and I've elevated to the visionary role. So I'm truly kind of leaning into that superpower I have of seeing the future and where FEM is going, and understanding what our members are wanting. And then also I launched my own coaching business, ExcelHER8 Leaders, where focused again on that integrator role, making sure that integrators are really truly know and understand the responsibilities that we have, and then developing them as those leaders.
Excellent. So building that community, I'm all about processes, right? We are all about processes and creating processes. You had a process there. You had a process of building a community. And that's one of the things I'd like to concentrate on. If you, let's say our listeners are listening right now, and they are part of an organization, or they see the need to create a community or a mastermind or a board of advisors with their people, with the best people to create a sense of community. So first of all, what's the why behind it? Why do you feel like having that sense of community or that sense of peers? Because you're not doing it in order to belong to it's not a networking group, because you're not going to others that do something different that can network with you and then recommend you as an integrator, as an example, right? You're actually creating a peer group of others from the same profession. So for instance, whatever the profession is, you're having a peer group of your own profession. So what is the importance of actually belonging to that, and not just to a place, a networking group or a group where you have diversity in terms of what people do?
Yeah. So I think that is what is unique about our group, is the commonality that we all have is that, yes, we are integrators and we are using EOS to run our companies. The uniqueness that we have, though, is that we have women who have literally just started Focus Day and they're just beginning their journey in EOS. And we have others that have been doing it for 15, 20 years. And so they have a wide variety of experiences, and all industries are included in FEM, because the commonality we have is the role, not industry. It does allow us to have that uniqueness. To answer your question, though, what's really valuable about having something specific like a peer group is just the growth and acceleration that I had as an integrator. So for example, there were a few times that we would really want to implement something new into our company, and it might have been trial and error trying to figure out how do we do this. The difference now is I can go to a community of peers and say, hey, listen, this is the issue that I'm having. This is the new product that I'm wanting to introduce. Has anyone else done this? And if so, can we connect and talk about it? Share with me the strengths, what are the things that I need to learn from you that went really, really well? well. Share with me the weaknesses. What were some of the things that didn't go great that I need to make sure we avoid? And when you have that happening within a group of people, just the level of acceleration, I mean, it is just expounded so quickly. I went from, sometimes trial and error, several quarters or sometimes even a couple of years trying to figure something out, to I shortened that to a very, very short period of time where maybe it was just a month or two, or a quarter instead of a couple of years, to figure out how we incorporate something new into our business or solve an issue that we've had for several years. And ask people, gosh, this is something that is happening in my business. How have you overcome this? They share all of the things that they have done, and then you just accelerate a lot faster. The other thing too is this can be a very lonely role. We hear entrepreneurs talk about that a lot. Whether you're the visionary, you sometimes can feel like you're alone because you're the only one that has that role and that responsibility in the company. So you don't have a colleague that you can go to within your company to talk about, some of the issues that you may be having. Same thing with the integrator role. There's only one integrator in a company, so going to a peer inside of your company just can't happen. So having a peer of integrators that you can go to and sit and talk to, it gets you out of a sense of being alone in your company, and you can start to see that others have the same challenges as you do, and when you come together to overcome them, you could really help your company and yourself accelerate at a very fast pace.
Absolutely. And that can be honestly, Kristie, it can be extrapolated not just to integrators, it can extrapolate to any peer group that you want to start, and those are great reasons. Absolutely. And it can also be a resource for let's say, for instance, if you might have clients approaching an integrator that they cannot service if they're independent integrator or if to their business, but you do develop some kind of a network because maybe you're not a good fit for them, but they can be a good fit for somebody else that you know. So I think this is also a way of expanding your network that can also
absolutely
help. Good. So now let's talk about so we understand the value, and let's say somebody would like to start it or do something like that. They feel alone. They feel like, they want to have a group of CEOs, maybe a group of integrators, a group of CEOs, whatever they call themselves, or maybe they are a general contractor and they want to talk to other general contractors. Obviously there are associations, trade associations that you can go and belong to. But if you would like to start a group of your own, of your peer advisory, what can you share in terms of best practices? Because you obviously created that. So what would you say if somebody, let's say I would like to start a peer group of process consultants, so we can all can discuss process documentation and dealing with clients and etc. What would be the first step that you will tell me to do?
Yeah, I think the first step would be really truly to determine your intentions. What is it that you're wanting this particular group to accomplish, right? So it's really truly like, what are the values of this particular group, the core values, like who are you looking for, and what values do you want to make sure that all of you have? And then what is your end goal? Is this a group that you want to meet long term? And so you need to start building what the program is going to look like. Or is it something where it's short term? Maybe it's just something you would like to see happening for 6 months or for 12 months, because there's something specific that you were wanting to accomplish. So really truly know your intentions. And then from there, I would say, start sharing with others what your intention is, what the values of the people are that you're going to want to be part of this organization, and see what type of responses that you get. And then start slow, just start with one thing, like we did with a WhatsApp chat, and start to really get people engaged and interested and communicating. And then from there, start building on. I mentioned all of or most of the offerings that we have with them right now, but those started coming slowly over time. We did not just implement everything day one. We started with a WhatsApp chat, and then we converted to, an app that was specifically exclusive to our membership. Once we had that built out, we added on, workshops. And then a couple of years later, we added, the roundtables and the forums. So you don't have to start with everything on day one. Just know what is your end goal, and then start with one thing and work your way up to the end goal.
Absolutely. Okay, so you have that, you have your intention and you work out to your end goal. What's the next step after that?
Yeah, just reach out to those people and see who wants to get involved. And again, we started with 5 women, and it's okay to start with 5. And then again, what is that intention? How big do you want the group to be? And just start sharing more and more with others that would have an interest, and make sure that your intentions are shared with the group members too. If one of your goals is to grow the group, make sure the group knows that so that they can share with their network, because you will find if members are receiving value from what you're doing with them, they will want to share with their own peers as well.
Absolutely. Now, what type of events or what type of get-togethers do you find that are most successful, and which ones do you do?
Yeah. So for me, I think there's a couple of things. We have first of all, we have some things virtual and some things in person, right? So one of the things that we have learned is integrators really love the opportunity to come together, but ultimately what they really seek and desire the most is learning opportunities. They want to constantly be learning and getting better. And so we have monthly workshops that are all virtual where people can come and attend. It's short, sweet, and straight to the point, right? EOS teaches us that an L10 is 90 minutes. So we stayed with that same consistent message that our workshops are 90 minutes. We come in and we get very focused, and we learn from the speaker who is sharing their knowledge that particular month. We also have Summit and what we call cocktails and connections, which is happy hours for us. But there's always a learning component, right? So you want to match what your particular group of people are, what their desire is, what is their outcome that they want to have. So making sure that you meet their expectations. If someone is wanting to have learning opportunities and the only thing you ever provide for them is networking opportunities, they're going to be disappointed in their interactions with the group. And so you want to make sure that you understand what your membership is looking for and that you can provide that to them.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is like you have to survey. You actually have to survey your membership.
Oh, absolutely.
But you also have a vision, right? So maybe it depends on really, maybe there are 2 components here. You might be people that, let's say you want to do a group because you want to create a group for learning and for sharing experiences, but then you have somebody who wants to only network or have social events. So you have to survey them, but that might not be a good fit for your group. So you don't necessarily have to change because of the survey. But if you actually have a core group of people that you do want to be part of your group and you do share the common goal, then you survey them in order to actually it's basically the survey should be within the framework of the goal, right? Because you're not going to change the goal, because you have 2 components here. Either the individual just, they can just rule themselves out because they're not part of your core offerings. But if they are, then you can survey them in order to see how you can facilitate providing that core offering in the best way, right?
Exactly. So once we know what the vision is, with them, our vision is to make an impact on women leaders. That is ultimately our goal. That is what we strive for every day. And that is something that I'm absolutely obsessed with as the visionary, is how do we continue to make an impact on women leaders so that they can have an impact on their communities, on their companies, on their network. And so with that in mind, what is it that our members are asking for? And we want to make sure that we're within that. We're meeting their expectations and what they're looking for while maintaining our vision of making an impact on women leaders. And what we've learned from them is they want learning opportunities. They want to consistently learn when they're getting together as a group, regardless of what that looks like. Sometimes it's speakers for us. Sometimes it's sharing and learning from one another. And sometimes it's recommendations. Hey, here's great books to read. Hey, here's another webinar we're not putting it on, but one that you all should know about. All of those things are really important to us, that we share those things with our membership.
Absolutely. Now, you also have very successful summits. So what are some of the components of having a successful summit?
Yeah, so I think the details matter, right? So again, being extremely intentional about what content is our membership looking for. Because one thing that we have definitely learned is if our membership is looking for certain content or certain speakers, and we are not meeting that expectation, then they may not be interested in going. So really making sure you know and understand what it is that they're looking for, and then looking for high quality speakers that will speak to that particular topic. It's, again, something I'm extremely obsessed with, is the content at FEM, and making sure that it is meeting the criteria, that it is focused on the integrator role, not just a wide variety of topics, but something that's actually going to make a difference for them or their companies. And, and just those moments for them to be able to also network and get to know one another. We have created an incredible culture where our women truly care about one another, and we're vested in each other's futures and our successes. So we provide those opportunities within Summit for them to connect with one another, catch up from last year and all the things that have happened since the last time they spoke, share their successes, share their struggles in a very safe environment where they know that they can get real, they can get vulnerable, they can get honest with what's really going on for themselves and for their companies, and seek honest answers on solutions. So it's being very intentional with making sure that what you're wanting to provide to your members, that you're always keeping that top of mind and executing on that.
Love that. Absolutely love that. So Kristie,
Yeah.
if people want to find out more about you, about the organization, where should they go?
Yeah, the best thing to do is to go to integratormastermind.com. And you can reach out to me personally through the contact page, and or you can find me on LinkedIn. And I'd love to connect with people and just be a valuable resource for others. So anybody and everybody, I would definitely welcome any type of communication so that we can get to know each other.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you for being a guest on this podcast. It was a very, very interesting conversation, and I learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners did as well. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.